So what exactly is our course about? Our course, as I said, covers the period of British history when the nation reached the apogee, the peak of its political and cultural power. Now, that's important and we'll refer to the history, but ours is not a course in British history. Rather, we're studying literature. And while the literature will reflect those important changes in British social, political, economic life, we're interested in how those texts speak to us today and, as I've said, construct the modern world. By talking about that influence, I'm positing an important claim about the relationship between British culture and our world today. On the one hand, British culture, British literature, is part of a confluence of ancient traditions that you're already familiar with. The Greek and Roman classical tradition on one hand, the Christian, with Jewish influence, tradition on the other hand, as they came together in the Renaissance, the Reformation, and as we will see developing in forward. But there are any number of European, Western literatures that can claim that genealogy. What makes this course unusual? Why are we taking a course in English literature? Why are we speaking about English in the first? Why are we speaking English, in the first place? Why is the international language still today of business, of culture, especially popular culture, of science, English? That is in some ways the large question. If we can answer that, why we are speaking English, we'll also answer why it's worth focusing on this material. There is a kind of legacy. Some may call it the golden nugget theory, that the West has a tradition that goes back to Athens and Greece, was then transferred to Rome, was carried through the Middle Ages, brought through the Renaissance, and then flowered into the Western cultural tradition at its peak, perhaps, the English tradition, developed in Britain, and then eventually crossed the Atlantic to America. Where that goes today and forward is an open question. We'll question, we will interrogate, we will have to be suspicious of that genealogy, that kind of golden nugget claim, this piece of golden culture. The very notion of a Western culture. Is that, as Anthony Appiah asks, a code name for white culture? Is it a kind of cultural supremacy? A kind of hierarchy? Those are questions we'll need to ask. But what we are going to uncover is how that classical and religious tradition was matched to political and economic and cultural and social changes in the period beginning with what's called the Restoration, carried forward in the Augustan period and the many different eras of the 18th century, the Enlightenment period, through the Romantic, Victorian periods, the Edwardian, up to the birth of the Modernist period. It's a big piece of material, a long span of time, with all kinds of changes that are still affecting us today about the shape of contemporary society, what the modern world looks like, and the place of literature, of culture in our emerging world.